Kentucky weather on 1027 The Game.
Here's your 14 first alert forecast. Overnight, clear with a near record low temperature of 52 degrees. On Tuesday, mostly sunny and pleasant, a high of 77. Clear and near record low again Tuesday night.
myself one. I'm not as pretty as Stephen A. Turner, but you know what? I am here. It is Monday, and it's the fastest hour in football.
It is the fastest hour in football. Hey, big time shout out to the new live stream sponsor, Legendary Pool and Spas, bringing the live stream right there on YouTube. Make sure you're following the game. 1027 The Game, all social media accounts. X, Instagram, Facebook. You're going to have Player of the Week's graphics going up this week. You'll have the Owensboro Health Top 10 tomorrow. You got all the video highlights that we're putting out, so make sure you're following there. And if you miss the show, you can always subscribe, like, and review wherever you get your podcast, whether it be Spotify, iTunes, iHeart. Just search Live at 5.
You have to try to not find it pretty much.
Or
right?
you can go on the YouTube. You can go to YouTube. If you type in Cromwell Media Live at 5, all of them are up there. They're right there for you. And looking forward to today's show. The little wrinkle today is that we talked about this. You saw it last week with the Owensboro Health Top 10 highlights in today's package.
Yes,
and
I'm
looking
excited,
forward
Vic.
to that. So if you're out there listening, you're a parent, grandparent, player, you have a big game, have a big game Friday, have a big play, whether it be football, whether it be golf, hole in one, a little soccer score, send us those highlights so we can get them in to the live stream.
Yeah, when you're at your local high school football stadium on Friday night and somebody makes a big play and you look at your buddy and go, no, we got you. It's going to be on here.
Send it in to us. And we'll start. It's going to be a 3-segment show. Segment 1, Dave, we're going to talk about teams that evidently we owe an apology to.
You and Steve do. I haven't been on the show.
Nah, no.
In full transparency.
But not just us. You look at the Pick'em contest. These games were missed by a lot of people.
Missed by me too.
In the Pick'em contest. That'll be segment 1. Segment 2 it'll be all high school football. Segment 1 and segment 2. And then in segment 3, Dave and I'll get you ready for Saturday because it is it's week 1. You had week 0.
We'll talk about week 0
We'll talk about week 0. Western looked good. But you got week 1, and of course, IU will have that game over on Jack FM. You've got Louisville on WVJS, and then starting at 9:30 in the morning with the pregame show, UK Toledo. But let's waste no more time because there was one team. I think in the Pick'em contest, there was 2 people that picked them to win. I think a lot of people thought they'd go down and be competitive.
Yes, I did say that. I did say they would be competitive.
But what they did do is they traveled down to Bowling Green and became just the 6th school in the last 11 years to win a game at Bowling Green High School.
Yes.
On the road, following Trinity, St. X, Boyle, Father Ryan, and South Warren.
Yes.
Catholic becomes the 6th as Catholic takes down the Purples 23-17. This was a game, Dave, really. I thought Catholic dominated on both sides of the line.
Yeah, Catholic is much, much better up front than I anticipated. I think the size across the board, the young guys that have stepped up and filled in for those roles, some of the guys that graduated, obviously J.W. Munster transferring, they haven't missed a beat. Very impressed with the job that Chip Pride does. I'm assuming Chip's still there.
Oh yeah, he was there on the field after the game.
That is what I call staff continuity. A staff that's been together. The bulk of that staff was assembled by John Edge for the better part of 20 years. Then you sprinkle in Court Morris and Chris Morris along with head coach Jason Morris. And really, they haven't reinvented the wheel. They've just kept the continuity of the Franklin system going. They, Hank Harvey at the middle school developing quarterbacks. But kind of the missing component for Catholic football, especially in the last 2 state championship runs, Vic, is what we've seen when they've gotten to Kroger Field. They kind of get manhandled up front a little bit. That's not going to be the case this year. This Catholic offensive line is for real.
When they wanted to, especially on the right-hand side, and they all play great, but when you have French at center, French at right guard, Carrico at right tackle, when they wanted 5 yards, they went to the right side and they got 5 yards. Catholic outgained Bowling Green 330 yards to 152. Now, full transparency, Bowling Green was hurt when Treve Barber went out literally 4 minutes into the game.
Yeah,
that's a huge weapon.
I was going to wait to the end to bring up some of that, but since you already did that, Vic, yeah, it's worth noting. And again, I hate to say this, you're just trying to take away from Catholic victory. No, I'm just telling you, Treve Barber gets hurt on the first play of the game. Ethan Kirkwood, their starting 6'3" receiver, outside receiver, he's out for the game. Jackson Smith, outside of Barber, is their most versatile player, playing outside linebacker and the slot receiver. He's out. So their top 3 offensive weapons are out. That's not to take away from Owensboro Catholic.
Because Catholic was missing Cam Woodward, receiver, and maybe one of their better defensive linemen in Barrett Evans. I mean, it's just what happens in football.
Right. Guys get banged up, and I thought Catholic, again, Here's the thing that I saw, because I was able to watch the game. I had a big cookout at my house, and my kids came over. We all sit around and watched the game. And the one thing that happened, I would say out of the first and 10 for Owensboro Catholic, Vic, probably 80 to 90% was inside zone, 5 yards, Miles Edge on first down.
Catholic was 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4 all night long. Bowling Green was always, I thought the big play, you had the turnover by Catholic early, then they got the turnover right back. Catholic kept them in 3rd and long. Miles Edge rushed for 85 yards, also had 45 yards receiving. Thought Draymel Carruthers played a tremendous game. 18 of 34, 220, 2 touchdowns. But what I loved, nothing forced. When it wasn't there, he'd get outside the pocket, throw it to the sidelines, led to play another day. And then you talk about, I had coming in, who would step up to be the number 1 receiver for Catholic? As we get our very first highlight, if you listen on the live stream, how about Xavier Maddox, the game he had? 7 catches, 115, 2 touchdowns, and his second one where he gives the guy the stanky leg, it was unreal.
It was a stanky movie. And then went a touchdown, aces right there, Xavier Maddox. And, look, man, does that surprise me at all, Vic? The answer is no. Xavier Maddox is a kid that's always had ability. You got to see some of his track speed in the spring, But I think, moving forward for Catholic, you look at what happened Friday night. Miles Edge on first down, inside zone, right? Miles Edge catching the ball in the backfield, and then Xavier Maddox. I think Catholic's going to have to get more production across the board once they start getting more into the season. But everything for Friday night, they controlled the pace of the game. They never really got behind the change. And like you said, I thought you made a great point. I was so impressed with Draymel Carruthers. Like he really only threw what I would say one bad ball, and that interception got negated on a penalty, right? So it's it's just a wash at that point. He hit the mesh routes, he hit the check down to Miles Edge. They faked the screen, hit Xavier Maddox deep. I thought Draymel managed. I watched both of their scrimmage games, and the improvement from the 2 scrimmage games to Friday night for Carruthers was great. And that's not a shocker. We know what the kid can do. He's got the total package as far as his ability.
Defense, you had Jude Evans, the linebacker, lead the way with 13 tackles. Caden Conkright, the undersized nose guard, I like to call him like Dalton. I thought he would be bigger. 8 tackles, 1.5 sacks. The Aces had 8 tackle for losses, 3 sacks on the day. And I thought it was a huge momentum builder right before half when Andrew Garvin, because it had been really bad special teams.
And he had missed the extra point.
Right. He had missed the extra point. You had the bad punch. You had the block punt. He hits the 46-yarder, doinking it off the crossbar, gives Catholic High momentum. And then when you got the big stop, I thought the drive, and you talked about more weapons. I think as Luke Thomas, who had been hurt a lot, as he gets into practice every day, there were a couple times he got open, had a big drop, but then on the big drive, you get the ball with 4 minutes left, or 3, a little over, I think it was right around 3 minutes left, and they didn't panic. They ran the ball, short pass here, short pass there, and then you hit the big pass to Luke Thomas to put him down around the 9-yard line, and this was an unbelievable throw that he drops it in the bucket between 2 defenders, and this is what I thought where you saw what Draymel Carruthers is all about and what Thomas can do.
Yeah, that's what this kind of goes back to my earlier point, Vic, and I think that's what, when you get Luke Thomas and he's able to transfer in from Union County, he brings an additional receiver to the table that they probably didn't have in the stable already. And you got to have that. You got to have multiple weapons, especially when you play. And again, they played Bowling Green. To be clear, they played Bowling Green. Now, if you want me to be honest, I'm not sure that's. I'm not going to say they're not as good as last year.
Well, I think they don't have Deuce Bailey. I mean,
they don't have Deuce Bailey,
difference maker
and whatnot. So it's. I say this when you go back to comparing, you're going to run into that's just dumb at that point. You can't say that because every year is a new year, Vic, and this is the Bowling Green team, and this is the Catholic team, and Catholic went to Bowling Green, and forever in history, Owensboro Catholic went to Bowling Green High School and got a win.
Yeah.
And like you said, one of only a few programs.
6.
And I tell you, out of those 6 programs, what do they all have in common? They're all state champions.
They are
So if you're a Catholic fan, you're still chasing that first title. You got to feel real good about being in that kind of company.
Yeah, then it was Hagen Edge or Miles Edge that runs in for the touchdown to give him the lead. Bowling Green gets the ball back, and then the big play right after that. You had the big stop, you had the big sack, and then you had the big penalty call, and then it was on fourth down. Then on fourth down, Catholic, and Miles Edge comes up, hits the quarterback, fumble, Jude Evans recovers, and then it's party time, there for Owensboro Catholic. They moved to 1-0. Another team we have to apologize to. How about Muhlenberg County? Now,
Yes.
I know at Live at 5 at the tailgate show, Steve and I talked about when they got off the bus, they looked apart. They did. They're huge.
Hold on real quick. Before we move on to Muhlenberg County, I got to highlight something.
Okay.
The job that John Paul Carrico did on that defensive end for Bowling Green, number 9, Mr. Tape hanging off of his wrist the whole game. John Paul Carrico, now, number 9 did wind up getting a sack, I think, in the third or fourth quarter. And that's supposed to be their baddest. Like, John Paul Carrico showed me a lot. Because, last year he was just a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
You knew he had a long way to go. Might be a believer in John Paul Carrico.
I'll say
now.
this.
I was super impressed.
I was down on the field, and you hear about how John Paul is 6'9", 290.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's big. That's big. After the game, when they're all, back out there, you go around, you're telling coaches congratulations, talking to a few players, and you stand next to John Paul, the dude blocks out the sun.
He's literally, like when they made Drago in Rocky IV in a lab. That's what happened. So John Paul Carrico's parents, Dr. Carrico and Miss Carrico, I think she's a doctor too, if I'm not mistaken, or a dentist, and they got together and they just got in a laboratory and made him. That's what happened. You're not going to convince me any other way.
You better be, because when growing up, you got to feed Tut, Vince, John Paul. You better make a bunch. That's a big grocery bill.
I'm excited. I'm a film guy, and I just loved what I saw on film. Actually, let me say this before we move on to Muhlenberg. Catholic, from an organizational standpoint, just popped off the screen.
Yes.
Like from, the pre-snap, they never got in a hurry. Everything's under control. The wristbands, nobody panics. They'll run that play clock, Vic, down to 1 second, and everybody's ready to go. I was so impressed with the game organization from the Aces on Friday.
Even when Bowling Green had the lead and was trying to salt it away, and they got the first big fourth down conversion. And what I thought was cool is they get it on a quarterback keeper where the running backs lead the way. Then on 4th and 1 on the last play of the game, try to run the same thing, and Catholic's right there.
I'm just going to tell you right now, I watch a lot, man. Vic, you know me. Like, I watch games that are not even in this area, folks. I was watching IMG this weekend. Like, I'm watching I'm watching the big modern day game, California versus Florida. I'm telling you, in the state of Kentucky, there is no school that gets more bang for their buck. There's no school that could get more out of their student athletes on the football field than Owensboro Catholic right now. They are that organized, Vic.
Well, talking about a road win, Muhlenberg, they do. They go into Paulson Stadium and then not only win, dominate the game, 18-0 over McLean County. How about these stats for you? The Cougars the Mustangs outgained the Cougars 262-67, and they held that vaunted fear the wing. How about 21 rushing attempts for 36 yards? I don't know the last time McLean averaged 1.7 an attempt, and it was Clay Wilkin. I mean, what a great game. He was 6 of 12, 91 yards with a touchdown. Also carried the ball. They had 7 ball carriers that ran for a total of 171 yards, led by Wilkins, who ran for 53 and a touchdown. Freshman kicker Ethan Jones kicks 2 field goals. I mean, the defense was led by Jaden Moore. This was a dominant performance by the Mustangs.
Yeah, no doubt. I got to see a little bit of it on the YouTube channel there, courtesy of the McLean County Sports Network, and just the size discrepancy of the two teams really stood out to me on film. I mean, I showed you a picture of the receiver DB match up there, and there's, how do you tell a kid that's 5'6" to defend that 6'3" receiver? That's just a tough thing to do. And you said 6 of 12. I'm surprised it wasn't like 35 pass attempts with that kind of advantage on the outside. But that's a big win for Muhlenberg County. And I know Coach Staples, I believe, he's looking to build that program. I've said for years now, Muhlenberg County's they've got the makings at the school. They've got the DNA to have a solid football program. But Muhlenberg County is so entrenched in basketball that you can't get basketball. And I'm not asking people to get basketball off their minds. I'm asking you to support the football program.
Well, they're doing that. They're spending a lot of money and putting into it.
And they are. And they with the stadium, and that came from the Cole money with the big annexation of the fine arts wing on the school. But what I'm saying is, like, from the youth level, have those KFL teams, develop kids at a young age, support them coming up. Don't try to pull them all to basketball only, because Muhlenberg, even in the years, Vic, where we've seen, in the district play, right? We've seen Apollo and Owensboro maybe run through them pretty good. You go, man, they got some dudes out there, though. They got some size. They got some athletes. So congratulations to Muhlenberg and McLean. They're just without their quarterback, man. If you're going to run the wing, you got to have a quarterback that could do that. And Aiden Bolden's a running back,
And big congrats out. Another team we got to say sorry for about Davis County. Coach Q Wallace gets his first win. He was big, came on Friday Night Lights Out with Dave and I, 45-6. And the man of the hour of that one, how about Jace Hunt, 176 all-purpose yards, 4 TDs, and an unbelievable punt return. They returned back for a touchdown. And this is just a game one of the new era, and it was well played by Davis County.
Yeah, Jace Hunt's lightning in a bottle. I mean, he's a guy that when he has the ball in his hands, I'm not sure it matters who they're playing against. He can house it. Like, he's got that kind of ability. He's got great vision. He's got great speed, and he's going to probably – Davis County's going to win a game this year that they shouldn't probably have won. And it's going to be because of Jace Hunt. I'm just telling you,
there's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. Oh, I'm hitting on the wrong can there. Then you go down. How about this one? There's a lot of us that had John Harden. You and I talked about it. Gave Todd all kinds of heck on that. But John Harden comes to Hancock County, GN Escovedo Stadium. And Hancock they controlled this game from start to finish. They won 42-28, and brand new quarterback Brady Eubanks, very efficient, Dave, as he goes 10 of 18 for 208 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also ran for 78 yards, and Eubanks played tremendous football.
Yeah, you see Brady Eubanks here, and the way I think that's going to be the secret sauce for Hancock County. Right for me. Right now, Hancock County is squarely the number 2 team in that district right now. Squarely. If they can get to that level to compete with the Owensboro Catholic later this season, it's going to be because Brady Eubanks can read defenses. He can spread, the defense out. He can deliver catchable balls. He can take off running and be a dual threat kind of guy. But that Hornet defense, I think that's going to be the key. You play John Harden, it's a run-heavy team. He still gave up.
Pittman ran it 39 times.
He ran it 39 times. I watched the game. I watched it till it was like 22-7. I had to get back to work today. Stupid work gets in the way of watching film, right? But, for what I saw John Harden do offensively, I'm just going to be a little tough on Hancock County. I think 28 was too much.
Okay.
You got to be a little stouter against that.
Well, they ran for 222 as a team. Kyle Anderson ran for 56 yards, 3 scores. You also had Caleb Helms, who ran for 62 yards and a touchdown. How about Graham Sharon and Cooper Jones combined 8 catches, 182 yards, 2 scores, and of course Ross Pyers leads the defense with 16 tackles.
Cooper Jones is that guy too.
He is. He is tremendous.
He gets a screen ball, or he can beat you deep. He can beat you on a kick return as well. He's a real deal.
And the last team, and we have to at least apologize to. How about this? They started last year 0-9, won the last game. I thought Coach Robbins on Media Day talked about getting in late. It was really kind of hard to kind of set the tone and put the culture together you wanted to, but he had a whole offseason. How about Butler County as they take down Breck 42-30? Brody Dockery, so efficient at the quarterback spot. We were worried about who's going to play quarterback with Garrett Phelps being gone. How about 10 of 13 for 190 yards, 3 touchdowns, and they ran it great. Caden Richardson ran for 165 with a couple touchdowns. Kevin Robbins, the middle linebacker, he ran it 12 times for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns. They run it for 317 yards. And then Carson Davis, what a game he had at receiver, 6 catches, 152 yards, and a couple scores.
What I like to say with Butler County, Breck, Ohio, I call them emerging programs. They're guys, I know Coach Hoddle's been there for a long time right now, but the challenge is that those coaches at those programs face to field a competitive team. When you look at games like I like to see Butler and Breckenridge County play, or Butler in Ohio, Breck in Ohio, because those are programs on the ground level trying to get going, and that's a big win for Butler County.
It's a huge win. It's 2 in a row.
And I know that hurt Coach Hoddle to lose that game because that's a game that you circle game one, winnable game, and it gets through your fingers. But, hey, it's going to be interesting to see, following Butler and following Breck, in those winnable games where you circle them on the schedule, how many of those can you get?
Well, if you look at it, Butler, with the way they schedule, you've won 2 going back to your last game last year.
Yes.
You look at the next 3 games, those are winnable games. You could put a lot of momentum together. Same thing with Muhlenberg. You get this win against McLean, you look at the schedule, you can start stacking some wins on. That's what they need to do on week 2.
Winning means confidence. I mean, and I think when you're building a program, Vic, I'm just going to be honest. I'm not sure it matters who you win against. You got people when
they
you're
don't
winning,
understand how hard it is to win football games.
When you win, it's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun, and then kids want to come out. The community wants to show up to the game. I say to every coach when you got that game one of a brand new coach and a brand new tenure, don't play St. X. No.
I tell you what, we'll take a short break here. Let's take a timeout for Karen Gross, realtor with RE/MAX Professionally Realty Group. Your dream is her mission. You can contact her 270-315-9810 or find her at KarenGross.net. More high school football when we come back. You're listening to Live at 5, 1027, The Game.
Foreman Watson Holtry is an award-winning law firm constantly setting the standard for excellence. Our attorneys are passionate, prepared, and persistent. Our proven results in cases aren't by chance. They are a result of a constant pursuit of truth and justice. That is our promise to you. Foreman Watson Holtry, dedicated to you, fwhlegal.com.
Whether you're saving for the future, buying a new home, or need a loan, we've got you covered. Competitive rates and personalized service. Join the community that cares about your financial well-being. Visit Green River Area Federal Credit Union at one of our 3 locations in Henderson, Greenville, or Owensboro and experience the difference today. Your money, your future, your credit union. Member NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
In September, Sports Country is celebrating 10 years. The last 10 years, we've seen the rise of social media, a pandemic, and in sports, we saw the rise of new rivalries, World Cups, the creation of the transfer portal. For Sports Country, they saw a location change in Owensboro and the addition of a second location in Bowling Green. Thank you for supporting them for 10 years as they celebrate all September. Sports Country, 317 Park Plaza Drive, behind Shammy's Car Wash, Owensboro's #1 sports fan store. Search Sports Country on Facebook for events and specials.
Accidents and ailments can happen when you least expect them, but Owensboro Health is here to care for you when and where you need it. Walk right in for excellent urgent care without an appointment, or use our MyChart app to tell us you're on your way. Our expert providers are ready to treat minor cuts, rashes, bites, respiratory infections, and so much more. To find one of our 5 urgent care locations near you, visit owensborohealth.org/urgent care.
Cabinet Doors and More off Highway 54 in Fordsville is way more than cabinets. Don't believe us? Come see for yourself. We have a wide variety of items from custom-made wardrobes to corner cabinets, kitchen islands, hallway and couch tables to nightstands, and even mantles for your fireplace. All in stock and ready to go. Come on out to Fordsville and shop with us so you can see why we are well worth a drive. Follow Cabinet Doors and More on Facebook for new weekly items. Cabinet Doors and More off Highway 54 in Fordsville.
Swing by the new 7 Brew Coffee in Owensboro next weekend for Caffeine for a Cause. From August 29th to the 31st, come get a free small drink. Pay what you want with all the proceeds going to the Owensboro Humane Society. On Friday, catch 100.5 The Party broadcasting live from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. with your shot at winning a pair of 4-day passes to Bourbon and beyond. Sip on favorites like the white chocolate mocha or cinnamon roll and know you're making a difference for animals right here in Owensboro thanks to the new 7 Brew Coffee on Frederica Street. Actor Douglas Tate from Michael Myers, Jason, and Five Nights at Freddy's 2 will be signing autographs and taking full costume photo ops at Ghostly Productions on September 6th with vendors and food trucks in attendance. We would like to thank our sponsors, Junior's Automotive Repair, Holiday Inn Hotel in downtown Owensboro, the Moore Automotive Team, and the Lawn Enforcement.
At Kubota, we want to help you deliver a job done right. That's why we want you to know that new Kubota inventory is arriving daily. You have work to do. We have the reliable, durable, and versatile lineup to help you do it. Visit Hagen's Outdoor Equipment today for all your equipment needs. Check us out today at Hagen's Outdoor Equipment with 3 locations to serve you. Highway 54 in Philpott, Salem Drive in Owensboro, and Power Machinery on Highway 41 in Hanson. We appreciate your business.
School is back in session, and with it comes new routines, busy schedules, and big emotions. At River Valley Behavioral Health, we understand that this season of change can affect mental health for children and adults alike. If you or someone you love is feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or just not quite like themselves, we're here to help. Call us at 270-689-6879 or visit rvbh.com for mental health resources and support. You're not alone, and you don't have to navigate it alone.
And now, more Live at 5 with Stephen A. Turner and Vic Evans on 102.7 The Game.
It's Live at 5, brought to you by Foreman Watson Hultree, FWHlegal.com. Vic Evans, David Clark in the Floor Concept Studios. Right after week 1 of high school football, getting back on kind of the fastest hour in football. We get in, we go have college in the back half of this one. Normally you'll have high school football, then a little college football, and a little NFL. That's why we call it the fastest hour in football. But let's go to where you were on Friday night up in Louisville as OHS falls to St. X 38-7. I do think
falls. That's nice.
Well, I will say this. I do think a couple things. It was Owensboro, it's the first, game of the Ganaway era.
Yeah.
But you felt like going in, St. X, who kind of struggled last year, it was a down year, what you consider a down year. And they play one of the best schedules around.
Yes.
But I think people thought, man, this St. X team is a team that can be gotten. I think what you found out is that the front line across the middle, St. X is going to be right there in the hunt for a 6A state title.
Yeah, no, they were so physical. Like that was one of the most impressive physical teams that I've seen. And we've seen some, Vic. And we've seen Frederick Douglass. We've seen St. X in the past. But this version of the Tigers is a different breed. I mean, I'll say this. They brought in their JVs in the fourth quarter since the clock was running. They had a 6'10" or 6'9" tackle and a 6'7" tackle in the JV line. I'm not kidding.
No, I think it was a game you needed to go up and get off to a good start to kind of get your feet wet. And then once it kind of snowballed on them, that's just not. I mean, Coach Wallace is one of the best coaches in the state of all time.
They've got 2 John Paul Carricos on their JV team.
Right. And so
nuts.
I think getting off to kind of the rough start and letting St. X get out 7-0, 14-0, they're not a team you want to try to play catch up with.
No, and I think what Owensboro, the big thing that bothered Owensboro fans, I think Friday night, was it just seemed like the Devils were discombobulated,
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever the reason is, that's for DeMarcus Ganaway and his staff to figure out, but it just did. And again, look, to be clear, I mean, St. X won the battle up front. But when a team has got an advantage over you up front, there's things you can do. I mean, there was times where St. X's DBs were 10 yards off the ball, and sometimes you just got to hike the ball and throw it to the guy and let him make a one-on-one move. Having said that, I was super impressed with DeMarcus Ganaway Jr. I thought he evaded pressure many times, made plays when there wasn't plays to be made. As far as me personally, a little beef I might have had is, maybe not wait till you're down 35-0 to throw a deep ball one-on-one down the side when you've got that look all game. And I do expect, here's what I know. DeMarcus Ganaway knows football.
Oh, without a doubt.
I ain't going through all his credentials. He knows football. Those are things that have to be corrected because you got Christian Academy. You've got the 3-time consecutive 3A state champs coming to Rash on Friday. So those things have to be fixed. And I'll be honest, Vic, I expect that they will be fixed. Having said that, I think defensively for Owensboro, some things are going to have to be probably moved around, some personnel change. I think that I think for Owensboro, Vic, you just don't have the depth that you used to have, right? This is not a team that when Zach and them played that you had just guys upon guys. You just don't have that kind of depth. I think your best players are just going to have to suck it up and play both ways, and then you just get them breaks here and there as needed. I don't know any other way to do it.
Well, and I think you also, if you look at it in the whole landscape of things, especially if you look at it at 5A, I mean, Owensboro, the goal is always to win a state title. Cooper got handled. Now, of course, they were playing some, Cooper went up and played Anderson out of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
They got handled pretty easily. Now, they do bring a lot back from last year's state runner-up team. Bowling Green, Catholic goes down and beat them. I think 5A still still, even going up and losing in St. X, in the grand scheme of things, 5A is still wide open. It's just about each week getting better and better and better. So when you get into district play, you give yourself the best path. I will say Atherton looked good.
Atherton's done good. The Aspirations kids transferring into Atherton. My boy Chris Vaughn's killing us, man. Thanks, Chris, for getting all those kids to go to Atherton.
I think the overall goal in 5A is still there when you look at it. I think 5A, of all the ones that you look at of the classifications, 5A probably took the toughest hit this week. I mean, 6A is loaded. 4A is unbelievably loaded. And you look at Beechwood and Mayfield and Catholic and Belfry. I mean, 5A was the one that kind of maybe overall of a class, maybe down a step, and there you go.
It took a brand hit for sure. 5A has largely been considered one of the strongest classes year in and
you
year
also
out.
lose Highland down to 4A this year. I mean, there's another school you took away from it.
It definitely took a brand hit, but I'll say this, as far as Owensboro goes, Vic, it's just about it's about drowning out the noise and getting back to work.
Yep.
This team has a massive opportunity come Friday. St. X is over. Listen. Folks out there listening, pay attention to that St. X Bowling Green game this week. Listen, I'm wrong about a lot. I might be wrong again. Just ask anybody I've ever been in a relationship with. I'm always wrong. But I'm pretty confident St. X is going to destroy Bowling Green. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll come on there and eat crow, but keep an eye on that one.
Let's go over to the two big rivalry games that we had this past week. You got the Tobacco Stick, and then you got the one over across in Indiana in Tell City and Perry Central. Let's start at the Tobacco Stick. Is Grayson wins this one again, 39-15, and it was the Caden Hanshaw show. 156 yards, 5 touchdowns. He also goes over 3,000 yards for his career. And not only that, we talked about, I thought Jake Bratcher, the quarterback, very efficient. He didn't throw it a lot, but how about 6 of 7 for 71 yards? When you've got that running game, even if you just throw a little bit when they're overstocking the box, that's something that could help Grayson in the future.
Yeah, if you're Grayson County and you're going to be competitive at all, especially when you get to that Bowling Green level in the district, you got to be able to do something.
Not just Bowling Greenwood, Barron.
Yeah, you got to be able to put the ball in the air. I mean, you can't just hand it off to Hanshaw and expect to compete in those games, and that's good news for the Cougars. And also good news for the Cougars is, I know that's a rivalry game. I know we probably don't understand the magnitude of the Tobacco Stick game because it's just far away and it's two teams that maybe aren't like we think about Catholic Owensboro and it is a big thing.
100%.
But to them that's just as big. And Vic, rivalry games can get sideways sometimes, right? Grayson County went out and handled their business. So while I'm watching Grayson County, maybe watch tomorrow where they're at in the top 10, right?
There you go.
That's a good step for Cougar fans and Cougar Nation.
Then over across the river, over on CJ, you can hear it with Aaron Owen. Tell City handles Perry easily, 42-0. And this one, hey, I love this one because it's my fantasy football player. How about Brady Casebold? He goes for over 170, 3 touchdowns. And this is a Perry team, they've gotten off the rocky starts, but where I was worried about is looking at the roster. Only about 24, 25 guys on the roster. May be a long year over there for the Commodores.
Yeah, I'm kind of, yes. It's a short answer, yes. You got to have better numbers, and I know they're going to get there. And it's a small town, it's a small community. Leopold is a lot smaller than Tell City. And look, Tell City, they did what they're supposed to do, Vic. Yep. They went out and handled their business.
They did. And you stay over on this side of the river. The number 1 team in the Owensboro Health Top 10, Heritage Hills, did what they were supposed to do, is they take care of South Spencer. And you figure they were heavy favorites. Yes. They win 66-0. Goldsberry, all he does, he throws for 146. He runs for 117, 4 touchdowns, also threw a touchdown. Heritage Hills ran for 241, threw it for 171. I think Ruxer had, about 60 yards receiving. And they just did what the number 1 team does, now looking at 14 wins in a row.
And it's just a massive talent discrepancy there. I mean, that's what it is. I think Coach Neighbors is going to do a good job at South Spencer. It's just Jimmy's and Joe's. That's what you see, 66-0.
Here's the thing I don't think people realize. So I was already starting my research because they play Apollo. We'll have Heritage Hills on the game of the week next week. The front line, the smallest lineman they have. Now, all 5 linemen are seniors.
Yes.
Okay? The smallest guy is 270. So you're like at 280 on one left tackle. You're at 326 at the guard. It may have been 260. I think the center's 260. Then it was 280 and 290 on the right side. This offensive line is a collegiate offensive line. And, I mean, not like Goldsberry needs like it's just like putting Emmitt Smith with Goldsberry in behind that Dallas Cowboy offensive line back in the heyday. This offensive line is going to get a lot of yards in the run game.
Yeah, we'll talk more about Apollo and Heritage Hills as the week goes on, but, I'll save that talk because I've got a lot of thoughts about that game too.
And then if you look at we're talking about Apollo. I was over there. Coach Briggins and I were at the Apollo game for the White Implement Game of the Week. Murray wins this one 48-34, and this was a game, I think you look back on it, mistakes by Apollo cost them. You talk about 3 turnovers inside the red zone. You also went for it one time and down on 4th and 1. It kind of got you behind. But then not only that, Caden Tutt had a monster game. He returns a kickoff for a touchdown and then also returns a punt for a touchdown. It gets called and you still have the ball at the 45-yard line, and the first snap you fumble. And then you also threw a red zone interception. Just a game with mistakes. Apollo just could not get out of their own way.
Yeah, when you do what Caden Tutt just did right there, Vic, and you take it to the house. Got to have it.
He's an absolute weapon.
You cannot have those get called back. And I know.
The problem is you also gave up one.
And you gave up one
on a kick return.
And listen, one game, you just got to put it behind you. I mean, it's over. No crying over spilled milk, like Tom Hanks said, I think in a league of their own, something like that. No crying in baseball.
No crying in baseball.
But I'll say this, Vic. That is a massive missed opportunity for Apollo.
I think so.
And if Apollo can just find a way to cut out the silly mistakes, they can be a good football team. And they are a good football team. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying they're not a good football team, but they are literally like chopping off their pinky toe like they take a step, chop. Take a step, chop. It's like just stop chopping and do it. Just walk. They've got the pieces, Vic.
Well, Mike's he threw for 257, 3 touchdowns. Did have the really bad, and we talked about how Carruthers.
And the snaps are still an issue.
Well, the one was high after the punt return got called back. He did everything he could to get his hand on it, and unfortunately, it came down and hit the turf. And Milburn was coming up to run the fake, and he kicks it forward, right into the Murray players. Did have the one big red zone interception. I think that was one where you saw like I was going to say, Carruthers, who when got flushed out of the pocket, nothing was open. He just threw it over in the stands.
Knocks it, like Steve All used to say, knock somebody's popcorn out, Jerry.
Yeah, and there was a play there where Mike's got rolled out to the right. He was on the far hash and then threw it all the way back across the field.
Can't do it.
He was on the far sideline to the far hash, and that's just waiting for an interception. It was picked off. Bratcher, Eli Williams, JT Edge, all caught touchdown passes. The one thing I was worried about was, you lose Brown and you lose Walker from last year at the middle line, at the linebacker spot. That was huge. How would your defense answer the call? Well, the problem is you gave up 455 total yards, 235 on the ground, 220, I think is what it was, rushing. It was the defense just giving up big plays really hurt them.
You just can't have it. And I know that eats at John Edge, and I know he's going to listen, I fully believe John Edge and his staff will have a good, solid game plan going into Heritage Hills. But you just got to cut out the mistakes. If you made the mistakes and I would say I still feel like Apollo should have won. I still feel like Apollo should beat Murray. If they played this Friday, I'd probably pick Apollo again, even though Murray just won. But if you're going to go to the jungle on Friday and make those kind of mistakes,
you're going to get run out of there.
You might get running clock.
Yeah, early. Like listen, you're going to go to the jungle and play. We're talking about a team, as we said, that's been. 2 years ago, they were runner-ups. Last year, they were the state champs. If you look at their record in the last 2 years, it's unbelievable.
And they're going to be locked in.
100%.
If you look at, let's just be honest. I'm going to be honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
You look at Heritage Hills' schedule. It's not the greatest schedule.
No, Gibson, Southern, and Southridge.
Those are 2, but that's like 2 out of, and then Apollo.
Well, they're going to be locked in, too, because I didn't know this until I saw it on Twitter, because we put about how, 1027 the game was going to be there. And they said, this is only the 3rd time in school history that they're playing a Kentucky team.
Wow, that's interesting.
So, Cal beat them last year.
Yes.
And then the person said something like 1970, they played Davis County and came away with like a 2-point victory. So this is probably a big game up there because you're getting a team coming across the river to play at the jungle.
And they'll get that return game here next year, which will be interesting too.
It will be interesting. Keeping going the rest of the games across the area. Henderson, they dropped to Pulaski County 44-21. I'm curious because I hadn't seen – I hadn't read anything about it, but I was looking through the stats. How about playing 4 different quarterbacks? So I don't know. Belt, the guy we thought would be the quarterback, Belt, I think he threw like 2 passes. I think he was hurt.
Yes.
But you got all the way down to where you were playing like a freshman at quarterback. And they say if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. I don't know what it is when you got 4. I don't know if there were some injury problems if they're looking for something.
I think they got, from what I read on Facebook, I think they got banged up during the game.
Okay.
So they were just down to the nit grit.
Yeah, well, you're down to your 4th stringer.
But I think they still wound up with 22 points. So
so it wasn't totally, it wasn't completely off the wall. Meade, they go to South Oldham. They get beat 26-0. We talked about Loggins, who has not been ruled eligible yet.
Yes.
So, I mean, you're in that situation where you're trying a new quarterback, just couldn't get anything going against South Oldham.
Come on, KHSA. Like, everybody got eligible last week except him.
Well, I don't know this for a fact. I have a feeling because I've heard, through some things is he was deemed ineligible the first time, as of today. Now, of course, you will appeal.
Right.
Okay. Here's what the elephant in the room. They play North Hardin week 2, right, which is where he transferred from.
Right.
My thing is, I think what's going to happen is he's deemed ineligible. They will appeal, and by week 3, he's going to be ruled eligible. They're going to force him to sit next week, and they're not going to get him eligible to go play North Hardin.
The team he just came
from. That's my elephant in the room and conspiracy theory.
My thing is, it's just like with anything else. If you've got a valid change of address or you find the Lord or whatever, you just make him eligible. Everybody else gets eligible. Just make him eligible.
My thing is, that's what I'm talking about. We have such inconsistencies. Let these kids transfer one time, no questions asked through their junior year. That's what we should have the Indiana rule.
Yeah.
I mean, Indiana has it right. And, they're Hoosiers. If Hoosiers can get it right, why can't we?
Yeah, because the playoff system over there ain't right.
No,
but they've got the transfer rule right.
They do.
And they've got the bump up thing right. I love that.
I love that rule. Too. I love that rule.
We just need to combine Indiana structure in Kentucky and just make a super perfect way to play.
We need that. You're redistricting every 2 years. Every 2 years, you put a point system in. If you get this many points, you're bumped up. And then once you're up there, you have to accumulate so many points to stay up, or you come back down.
I love it.
I think that's the way it ought to be. Ohio goes down to the bowl game to take on Trigg. Did not end well for Ohio County. 54-0. Trigg wins this one and just won once again. This is a team for the last year in a game now just really struggled to score points.
Small victories. I know this is going to be hard to stomach for football purists. It ain't about the scoreboard for Ohio County. It's about the small victories. How many first downs did we pick up? How many first downs did we give up? You got to start looking at those things before you look at the end result.
Well, tomorrow on the show, we'll have our Owensboro Health top 10. The votes have been tabulated. They've been sent. We'll have the graphics up here too. Yep. And also, for the first time this year in the new sports season, we'll have our player of the weeks.
Hey.
And I will tell you what, I'm hoping all of them get done. There'll be some that'll put out today, but we're going to try to get all the graphics on live at 5. The graphics for player of the weeks that Dimes put out, unbelievable.
I'm excited.
And we've gone old school, back to Homer's days, where the player of the week's picture is on the graphic, no more stock pictures, and I think the people will love these things.
You actually got somebody that, look, it takes a lot, for people that don't know, it takes a lot of time to put all that stuff together, and now that Dime is here, you actually have somebody. I mean, it's not like you got 55 things to do during the day, Vic.
No, I know, and I'm not artistic at all. And the other thing is luckily we've had people who have reached out to us and allow us to use their pictures,
yes,
and things of that nature. So I think we got a picture of every one of them this week. Hopefully, we can keep that up. And but when we come back, we're going to talk a little college football, get you ready for week 1. We'll also recap Western at week 0,
yeah,
and then maybe figure out what's going on. We'll also let you know who's leading the Pick'em contest. One winner this week.
Yeah.
One player went 13-4
Solid.
in the Pick'em contest. That's a pretty good. There's a lot of 12-5s, 11-6s.
Yep, that was me.
But that's where I was. I was at 12-5, but one went 13-4.
And it wasn't Todd.
And didn't even pick Catholic.
And it wasn't Todd.
No. I'm talking about in the overall fan group.
Oh, in the fan group.
I'm talking about in the fan group. You're listening live at 5, 1027, The Game.
Southwire in Hallsville has been family-owned since 1950 and strives to be generationally sustainable for years to come. They are one of the leading manufacturers of wire and cable used in the transmission and distribution of electricity. Southwire delivers power to millions of people around the world. Their mission to be a preferred provider of solutions to the electrical industry by providing innovative products and services with exceptional quality and delivering on our promises. They also are proud supporters of all Hancock County athletics. Go Hornets!
Support your school with the German-American School Spirit Check Card. With each purchase you make using the card, we make a donation to your participating school of choice. So far, through our School Spirit Card program, we've given back over $300,000 to community schools. Stop in your local German-American bank office, open a checking account, and request your free School Spirit Check Card today. Visit GermanAmerican.com for a list of participating schools. German American Bank, member FDIC.
Don't risk losing the trusted news, traffic, sports, and weather you get from AM radio stations. It's time to make your voice heard. We need Congress to pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act to keep AM radio in cars. When internet and cell services are out, AM could be your only lifeline. Text AM to 39179 and tell Congress to pass this critical legislation now.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Looking for quality tools, building supplies, and equipment for your next project? Visit Miller Building Supply, Seabury Hardware and Rental, or the Providence Home Center. Owned and operated by Opie and Leslie Parrish, they have a friendly staff with great selection and everything you need to make your next home improvement dream a reality.
Save big on your next painting project at Menards. Get long-lasting color with Pittsburgh's Grand Distinction exterior paint and primer in one. It's highly dirt-resistant and provides a mildew-resistant coating. Save big on Grand Distinction paint. The perfect combination of strength and beauty. Visit us in-store. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for more great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
It's Game On every weekday from 5 to 8 in the morning with Unsportsmanlike. Brought to you by Floor Concepts. Catch Evan, Canty, and Michelle breaking down the biggest stories, the boldest takes, and the realest reactions only on 102.7 The Game. Your home for ESPN Radio. Unsportsmanlike delivers the passion every true sports fan craves. Brought to you by Floor Concepts, where design meets durability. It's Unsportsmanlike weekday mornings 5 to 8 only on 102.7 The Game.
You never know what tomorrow holds. Hi, I'm Danette Mattingly with Kentucky Farm Bureau. I'm here to help you protect what matters with affordable health and life insurance options. If people need you, you need life insurance.
Back by popular demand, Legendary Pools and Spas by John Morais is here. If John has built your pool or spa in the past and it needs service, repairs, or just a little attention, he's ready to take care of you. He'd love to hear from his former customers, and if you're new, now is the perfect time to see why his work is legendary. Call Legendary Pools and Spas by John Morais at 270-316-1007. Reconnecting with customers, one pool at a time.
The Muds Furniture pre-Labor Day sale is going on now, and you can save 25% store-wide on all in-stock furniture. Bedroom, living room, kitchen, family room, every room. 25% off store-wide on America's Best Furniture. Muds Furniture in downtown Owensboro since 1951.
Local sports at its finest, live at 5 with Stephen A. Turner and Vic Evans on 102.7 The Game.
It's Live at 5, brought to you by Foreman Watson Holtry, FWHlegal.com. Vic Evans, David Clark in the Floor Concept Studios. Big shout out to Legendary Pool and Spas, the new live stream sponsor. Stay with us, because right after we go off the air, it's Beyond the Bench with Matt Briggins, Brad Payne. They got a really good show tonight. You can also follow that on the live stream, Cromwell Media, Beyond the Bench. It'll be right there for that one. And Dave, you know, we talked about the high school. It's the fastest hour in football. College football, week 0. How about Western putting it on Sam Houston State?
41-24, nice win for the Hilltoppers, and unfortunately that kicked Catholic Bowling Green out of Houchin Smith Stadium there in Bowling Green. But no, it's a great win for Western. I'm so starved for college football, so I'm a fan of week 0. However, I'm not a fan of going over to Dublin, Ireland, and playing in the rain.
No.
Like, first of all, you're not fully probably prepared to go play in that game. You probably do need another week of preparation. And then on top of that, you got to play in those elements. I mean, you know, I picked Kansas State to win in the group chat. I think Kansas State would have won the game if it was played on a decent field.
Well, Kansas State must have won the parking lot scrimmage because you had like the Kansas State quarterback dad and his brother out there fighting in the parking lot. But Western, you can hear them all year long on K News. They will play Saturday. They host North Alabama. Pregame starts at 5:00 on that
Yes.
one. I think it's a 6:00 tip-off. Kickoff, not tip-off. But once again, this Western team, very dangerous offensively.
Yeah, very dangerous. Always got a lot of good athletes. Recruit the South very well, so they're going to have that explosiveness. You know, in Conference USA, you're going to have Gavin Wimsatt down there at Jacksonville State. So it's going to be interesting to follow that conference as the season progresses. But I got to give a week 0 shout out to our guy. Way to go, Nick Locker, as Hawaii beat Stanford 23-20. The kid from Japan, who's the kicker for Hawaii, learned how to kick watching YouTube videos.
Think about that. He came over for something. You know, I don't remember what he said it for, but he saw a football game. And when he went back to Japan, he got on YouTube and was like, I want to learn how to kick. I mean, what's the toughest thing you've ever, or let me put it this way. Give me something that you wanted to do around the house or something that you pulled up YouTube and learned how to do.
Disc golf, and I'm still terrible at it. Like, I still can't play disc golf or the crap. And for all the people wondering out there, Nick Locker he coaches safeties.
Yes.
At
yeah,
Hawaii.
he didn't teach him how to kick. That's
No,
for sure.
he did not.
I do want to say, we're talking about Western, you know, their quarterback, and it seems like it's a revolving door. Everybody puts up big numbers there. But this, I don't know how you say his name, McVlore, you know, how about 401, 3 touchdowns? I mean,
yeah.
And then you also had Henry, the wide receiver. How about 7 catches for 148 yards and a touchdown?
Well, Vic, that's what WKU does. I mean, at the end of the day, that's their offense that produces. You know, they've tight ends in the NFL, and that's, I believe it's McIvor, and 33 of 51, 401, and it's just like that's Western Kentucky football.
No, yeah, I mean,
it's a spread attack. It's fast paced. It's offensive.
Helton does a great job down there.
Fantastic job.
There's no other way around it. And you look at Saturday, week 1 kicks off of college football. You've got the big games. You've got Notre Dame and Miami. You got Texas and Ohio State playing at noon. Why that's at noon, I have no idea. I think it's because they've added Poitnor to the pregame show, the Fox Big Kickoff game, and they want to get him on there as soon as possible. But in this area, on the Cromwell family of networks, you've got 3 big games. Actually, Western make it 4 on K News. Over on WVJS, you got Louisville. They'll play host to Eastern Kentucky. Louisville's going to be a huge favorite. And is it all about what the quarterback does for Louisville? I mean, getting to see the quarterback for the first time?
Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I think I'm just going to lump Louisville and Kentucky into this conversation, Vic. I know people are stressing out about Toledo. Kentucky and Louisville are going to win convincingly this week. I'm just letting everybody know. Indiana, too. I think Indiana's squared away on fans, but Kentucky and Louisville, their biggest issue is going to be putting butts in the seat Saturday because there are tickets going for dirt cheap in Lexington and Louisville right now.
Well, I think Kentucky, if they can get through Toledo, and I'm like you, I think Toledo, you know, they're the favorite in the MAC, but people are always talking about, you know, there are a lot of people are looking at because they beat Mississippi State. You got to remember,
Mississippi State was terrible.
Well, not just that. Kentucky's team last year played the team that went on to win the MAC and won the game 41-7.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean, you know, and as good as MAC action football is, it's not SEC football.
No.
I think if you look at it, I'm not so sure you don't go, because I think you get it right now for like 7.5 is what Toledo's getting. I think you can go hammer Kentucky in the 7.5 and probably make bank.
Kentucky's covering that. I'm just telling you right now. And the thing about, listen, I got a lot of respect for MACtion football. I think MACtion, the thing about when you play a MAC team, you better come to play. That's their big opportunity to go play a Big 12 or a Big 10 or an SEC team, and they're going to be ready to play. And if you're not ready to play and you don't match them, because, I mean, we've seen Kentucky in the past. I think the last time they played Toledo, it's like 14-7 in the second quarter.
Well, you had and
you start sweating a little bit, so you got to come ready to play.
Well, the one thing I'm worried about at Toledo is they do return a lot from last year's team, Kentucky, with what? I think it's 57 new players.
Yeah.
Out of the portal. So you just don't know how that's going to play out in week 1. But let me ask you this. I don't know if I've ever been around a Kentucky program where normally Kentucky fans, it's like Dallas Cowboy fans. It's like rinse and repeat. It's like, the season gets over. It's not a great season. You're thinking we're never going to win. You get into the summer and we're going to go 10-2, 9-3. And then, then the things happen. But I think this year it's probably, and maybe this is the way it should be, is this is about as subdued and maybe the least amount of hype for a Kentucky team that I can think of in a long time.
Well, there's just a big, great unknown quantity. When you got 50-something new players, a lot of good, new faces on the roster, a lot of new starters that we just haven't seen in action. I mean, we've seen Zach Caldaza on film from Texas A&M and what he did at Incarnate Word.
It's in black and white, though, because he's like 47,000 years old.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's in. Yeah, you have to go back to the still.
You got to get your VCR out to watch the game tapes on the VHS tape.
Yeah, dub over. It's a little shaky footage, but no. In all seriousness, man, like we just, as a fan base, Kentucky just doesn't know. And then you got Louisville, who I think's probably set to have a big year, but is getting zero national respect right now. I think you got Indiana over here, and they've got a ton of preseason hype, but they don't play anybody for 5 weeks. So, like who knows? You know,
they play 3 games. They got to figure out a way to go 1-2.
Yeah,
and then look.
Can you imagine the luxury of that? What would that even begin to be like?
Because week 1, we talked about the 3 big games. You got Miami and Notre Dame, but I want to go back to the other 2 big games. You got Texas going to Ohio State. You got LSU going to Clemson.
Yes.
Now, you've had this whole big thing of this, you had the Big Ten and all the fans on social media talking about the SEC, not playing 9. So the SEC says, hey, we'll up you. We'll play 9. Plus, you got to play a Power 4 out of conference.
I like it. Yeah.
But you get some bragging rights here. You get the Big Ten versus the SEC in Texas, Ohio State. You get Clemson, LSU, the ACC, who gets no respect, and rightfully so for the most part.
So.
But Clemson's going to be really good this year.
Yes.
And LSU, can you see a pattern where the SEC goes 0-2 and all of a sudden people start talking about how overrated the SEC is?
And that's what will be the narrative, and it should be the narrative if the SEC goes 0-2. I mean, obviously you still got Alabama, Florida State, and some of these other games, but that's, Alabama's going to be big favorites.
Florida State might as well disband football. They're I mean, it's been terrible.
Yeah, Virginia Tech, South Carolina, which will take place on Sunday, and then going in, and then the nightcap Notre Dame, Miami.
I understand.
I'm looking forward to that one. That's the Catholics Convicts 2025.
Yeah, I understand saying Virginia, but all the thing is going to be right there at the top.
It is.
That's what it's going to be. Texas, Ohio State, LSU. If the SEC goes 2-0 there, they can lay claim, and they're not overrated.
But I don't like that, even if the SEC goes 2-0, because it doesn't tell the whole story of the whole conference.
Oh, I understand.
In the past,
but nobody looks at it that way. You always look at the top.
I know, and I think that's unfortunate because I don't think that always gives the whole picture.
Oh, without a doubt.
And I'm saying that. I'm an SEC guy.
I know.
And even if the SEC goes 2-0, I need to see more data.
Well, I love the SEC too, but I also say the one thing I have a problem with is that media members don't punish the SEC for losses in the regular season in the polls as much as they do other conferences. They just don't.
They don't.
They don't.
You're 100% right. I agree with that, but I think that's justified with the amount of competition. Like there's just, outside
a loss is a loss.
Outside of Mississippi State
and Kentucky.
Yeah, but even Kentucky, as bad as they are, could play with good teams. They
can play with them, but I mean, go back and show me where Stoops has beaten teams with winning records in the SEC.
Yeah,
since he's been there.
Well, just
I think there's only 3 games.
He did beat that one guy. Was it James Franklin in the bowl game?
No, yeah, I'm talking about in the SEC. They did Ole Miss last year.
Oh, wait a minute, no, Penn State's got to count. SEC.
But I'm looking forward to it. Football's here. Tomorrow we got the Owensboro Health Top 10 and the Players of the Week. Looking forward to that. We'll have you back tomorrow. Steve will be back in Wednesday. Wednesday we got Michelle Smallman from Unsportsmanlike, the morning show here on 102.7 The Game.
Yes.
And on Thursday, how about this? We got Cole Birch, who just wrote a book.
Yes.
So we're going to have him on the show, talk about the new book he wrote. But this has been Live at 5, brought to you by Foreman Watson Holtry, 102.7 The Game.
You've been listening to Live at 5 on 102.7 The Game. Special thanks to Foreman Watson Holtry for sponsoring the preceding broadcast. FWHlegal.com. Tune in next time for Live at 5 on 102.7 The Game.
From the Floor Concept Studios, ESPN Radio, all sports, all the time. Kentuckiana sports leader, 102.7 WLME, Lewisport, 102.7 The Game.
Guys have underestimated me my entire life. And for years, I never understood why. It used to really bother me. But then one day, I was driving my little boy to school, and I saw this quote by Walt Whitman. It was painted on the wall there. It said, "Be curious, not judgmental."
Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here tonight, boys. That's what you earned here tonight.
Beyond the Bench with Brad Payne and Matt Briggins right here on 102.7 The Game.
Tonight, we skate. Tonight, we stay with them. And we shut them down because we can. Tonight, we are the greatest hockey team.
It's Beyond the Bench, brought to you by the Green River Area Federal Credit Union. Vic Evans with the two stars of the show, Brad Payne, Matt Briggins. And guys, before we get too far into this, I want to tell you about a great new partner you have bringing you the live stream. Okay. The live stream brought to you by Legendary Pool and Spas.
Love it.
So another one jumps on board.
Nice. Exciting. Glad to have them. Wonder if they need me as the face sitting out by the pool.
Well, the women are talking about how great the face is. I mean,
as many compliments as I've gotten.
It's been blowing up the Green River Area Federal Credit Union text line. If you're one of the females out there that just loves Bradley Payne,